no lie, we're standing there, and one of the electrical outlets started to spark and burn. And we all just stopped and looked at it. And we all kind of had the same thought. You gonna let it burn? It was painful. I know it brought me to tears at one point. You're standing here and you're looking and you're going, well, is this it? Is this over? Either today's the day we go out of business or we go make some money. The team stepped up like I'd never seen them step up. I'm a servant leader. My job is to make sure that they can get their jobs done every single day. I'll do whatever you need. You tell me, I'll do it. Culture doesn't just happen. Culture is built by intent. If you don't build your own culture, somebody will build it for you. You know, what we've learned over the years is
Hey, this is Bobby Lawrence, host of The Business Next Door, where we put a spotlight on the people and trades that keep our city running. Today, I am sitting with the third generation of a Brooklyn institution. Founded in 1927, nearly 100 years ago, by two brothers in a very different Brooklyn. From grandfather to now sons, their business has survived wars, recessions, pandemics, and natural disasters like Hurricane Sandy, which nearly wiped them out in 2012. You may know them by their website, www.bestbrooklynplumber.com, or by their red Sprinter vans, which feature a rubber ducky on the side, or perhaps by their slogan, a tough name for a tender company, Sal Vigilante, Vigilante Plumbing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here today.
Absolutely. So we were talking before this, 100 years is
100 years.
Next year.
Yeah, next year.
When you think of 100 years, like what comes to mind? Is it even believable?
It's kind of mind-blowing. It kind of snuck up on us. You know, you're in the work, you're doing it every day, and you're celebrating the little wins, but then all of a sudden you turn around and go, you know, it's only 3 years away.
Right.
It's only 2 years away. Hey, it's next year.
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
And what are you going to do?
Oh, I don't know. I'm thinking of doing some vintage T-shirts that we used to have back in the day. Have a big party, and just enjoy it. It's such a great accomplishment. We're so proud to have gotten this far. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, I don't know. I'll let you know when we figure it all out.
Yeah,
what we're gonna do.
Oh my gosh, and it makes me think of your grandfather Mike.
My grandfather Mike,
who started the business.
Right.
Can you tell the audience a little bit about how they got into the business and kind of? He seemed like an industrious man. So
it all started with a pizza, I guess. Right. So my grandfather Mike owned a bar on the corner of DeGraw and 4th Avenue, I want to say, and they were struggling to get patrons in. So they came up with this bright idea. My grandmother would make pizza, and they'd give away free pizza. And it would bring people into the bar.
Oh my gosh!
To buy drinks, and it worked.
Smart.
And he did well, and it was successful. And his brother Frank, my grandfather's brother Frank, was already a plumber.
Oh, okay.
He saw how well he negotiated the business side of this, and he asked them if they wanted to be partners.
No way.
And they started a plumbing company.
Got it.
And it was on 5th Avenue and between 1st and 2nd Street. And I grew up on 1st Street at that point, so I remember it back then. That was the start of the company, and they just went from there.
And that's amazing. And then your father joined the business about what time?
My father joined the business. I'm going to say in the mid to late 50s.
Okay.
My uncle also joined the business, actually before my father.
Okay.
And he became a licensed plumber. And they actually created a construction company, a contracting company. The official company name is actually Vigilante Contracting Company.
Oh, okay.
And then, pretty quickly realized they hated that side of the business and wanted to stick with the plumbing end of the business. So my uncle, he basically was the business end of it, right. So my father was the front man. Mm-hmm. He went out, he did the estimates.
Okay, got it.
He watched the men, and my uncle pretty much ran the company.
Yeah, you
on
kind of
the
need
other
that
end.
partnership. It
Yeah.
seems like, especially for a service-based business where you
Yeah.
have the operations taking care of the employees, and then the other side of the business.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a real business.
Yeah.
It's hard to run this from your truck.
Oh my gosh! Well, especially in Brooklyn. We'll get to that. But you grew up, and when we spoke before the interview, you were telling me that you, at age 12, you
12.
were in the business, or at least have memories of working the business. Can you talk about that?
Yes, I can, and you're gonna have to forgive me because I'm going to say things that 12-year-old Sal.
Right.
Okay, so 12-year-old Sal, and literally this block, Garfield, is one of those blocks that remind me of this part of my life. I wanted to be a photographer.
Right.
Right. I wanted to do photography. I loved the mechanics of it. I loved the art of it. But you had to buy paper and film and chemicals and equipment. And I needed a job. I needed to make some money at 12 years old because I had a plan. This plan was I was going to be a famous photographer. I was going to get a penthouse in Manhattan, and I was going to get chicks. 12-year-old thinking. That's
the
what I
dream.
had in my
and I
head.
told you, I wanted to be a pro hockey player, but same exact thing.
So the truth is, I took the job at my father's shop at 12 years old. I remember my first day, clear as a bell. I walk in, and they say, okay, here's what we're going to do. You're going to paint these radiators, because we used to take old radiators, refurbish them, and resell them.
Mm-hmm.
So they give me this can of silver paint, and they give me a brand new uniform, John's brand new uniform, and the sleeves are rolled up and the pants are rolled up, and they give me this. It's like a half full can of paint. I don't know how to paint anything.
Right. You're 12
years old, so I know it has to be shaken. So I take this can of paint and I just start shaking this can of paint, and it literally, the top comes off the paint.
Oh my gosh!
It goes all over me, all over the counter, not a drop on the radiator. And my uncle and the service manager at the time just looking at me going, this kid's an idiot.
Good. That's what you needed for the self-confidence as a 12-year-old. Perfect. That is so good.
And that was my start. That was my entrance into the industry.
Yeah. And and we're going to talk about your brother, Anthony. Mm-hmm. But one of the things I actually wanted to talk about was, what type of memories and what lessons maybe did you learn from your grandfather, if you had the opportunity to work with him? I know you're probably young, as well as your dad, about running the business.
Yeah, I never worked with my grandfather.
Got it.
He passed at about the same time I was joining the company.
Oh, okay.
And my father and my uncle had already purchased the company at that time.
I see.
So they were the owners at that time. But yeah, I mean, for business, business was always. It was always work hard, mm-hmm. dig in deep, and be so proud of what you're putting out there.
Right.
I can remember times walking. My father walks into a job and he goes, "See that pipe right there? It's a little crooked. It's just a little bit." And I'd be like, "But it's in." Right. No, take it out and do it again.
Right.
And make it straight.
Have
and
pride in your work.
Perfect. Make sure you have pride. Make sure you're a craftsperson. Mm-hmm. You're not a tradesperson. You're a craftsperson.
Right.
You create, and that was really important. That the end product for the client was amazing.
Yeah.
Right. Other lessons, of course, are always, be honest.
Right.
Just treat the customer with honesty. Give the customer more than they expect. Those were the principles we ran on.
Yeah. And so, in 2000 was a big inflection point for you guys.
Sure.
You guys took over the business.
Sure. Yeah.
And I would imagine, in my experience, from one generation to the next, there can be some friction there. And maybe can you talk about how that ended up working out, how you guys purchased the building and the business? And
well, so when I officially joined the company, mm-hmm. Which was out of art school, 84.
Right. Okay, so you've been there for some time.
So I'd been there. Anthony, it's a rough story for him because he was in his last year of college as a business major at Pace University.
Yeah.
But my father had just bought the company.
Got it.
And
From out from his partner.
from my uncle.
Your uncle.
And he needed us. He needed us both. He needed Anthony as well. And Anthony came in to run the company, missing out his last year and his degree, which he always kind of gives a little bit.
Right.
Well, damn it, he took me out of here. Yeah.
Wait, so the
couldn't let me finish.
Really was, at least, I mean, early on, 12 years old, but definitely more so for Anthony. His plan wasn't to get into the business.
No. His aim was Wall Street.
Wow.
It was different. So he kind of got pulled into this.
What an unselfish act. I don't think there'd be many children today who's like, hey, Bobby, come work for the plumbing business and forego your Wall Street dreams.
Yeah,
I think most people would say, I'm sorry, Dad, but I'm going to do what I want to do. That is really incredible.
Well, good Italian boys.
Right.
You wanted your father and mother, and that's it.
Yeah.
So he did it. He came, Anthony. And
what year did Anthony come in?
I'm going to say it was this 87, 88, like that. Okay. I'm trying to remember when it was 88. Yeah.
Got it. So there was a lot of years before 2000.
Yeah.
Where you guys were able to understand.
Actually running the business.
The business.
Really getting in there and running it and making changes. And my father was good at letting us, run things. You know, he saw that we understood it. We got the business and we were driving it in a growing position. We were pushing. We constantly pushed.
Really? Yeah. And tell me about those early days, because I'm sure when, the official day you took over, there must have been a lot of thoughts running through your head. I mean, not only is the business hard, but you're, motivating and maintaining the employees who are the lifeblood of the business.
Well, yeah. So you say take over, you mean the purchase or the when we actually started to run the place?
When you really started to run the place.
Yeah, it was more organic. It just kind of happened over time.
Yeah.
It's just you just did what you had to do, and you moved it forward. And you went a little bit more today, and we ran a little bit more today, and let's try this, and let's
just
make
getting
this
better
mistake.
every day.
Yeah, and that really was. It wasn't nobody flipped the switch. It just happened naturally. You know, we grew into it.
Right, and talk about happening naturally. I think about your partnership with your brother, and you guys now have been working together for a long time.
Yeah.
And that, again, from my experience on the real estate side, is not an easy thing. Can you talk about how, when you guys started running the business, how you were able to differentiate responsibilities, or was there a conversation where you said, "Hey, I'm going to deal with this, and you're going to deal with this"?
Yeah, so we always had semi-defined roles.
Right.
I mean, we could get on top of each other sometimes as far as what we do, but having two people run a business like us has been a blessing. I am very impulsive, quick to make a decision, throw everything at the wall and see what sticks kind of person. I will get us in trouble. Okay. Anthony is methodical.
Got it.
He's a thinker. He works things out, sometimes so long that we never get it started.
Right.
So between the two of us, it's a perfect blend of making decisions and making them right.
Right.
So that's been really, really, really cool to work with him. Also, there's just a level of respect and trust that's incredible. And
that's not easy.
No, it's not easy, but there's also, either one of us are really, we're not into titles. We don't have a lot of pride in the sense of I'm the president. And look at me. I really don't care. The job's got to get done.
Right.
And Anthony is exactly the same way. We just got to get the job done.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to business owners? And maybe you talked about it just now, about operating in a family dynamic.
You've got to have trust.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to put each other ahead of each other a little bit. It's kind of like a marriage.
Right.
I've got to worry about what Anthony's doing, and Anthony's got to worry about what I'm doing, and in a sense of that I'm okay with it and he's okay with it. Mm-hmm. And if we make a mistake, it's okay.
Right.
We'll figure this out together.
Yeah.
And I think we've always had a really great relationship like that. And how do you get there? How do you advise somebody to do that? I mean, you just gotta be comfortable where you are,
with
who you are, and not There's nobody's trying to one up anybody.
Right.
We're not trying to. Nobody's pounding their chest and saying, "Look how good I am."
Right.
It's not the goal.
Well, it probably comes from the previous generations before you too, about taking care of the customer, having pride in your work.
Yeah.
Those sentiments are very not ego driven.
Yeah.
And that probably resonated with you and Anthony. So when you're able to take over, it sounded like you guys knew, one, how to communicate, trust each other, but more so be aligned with the mission, which is do good work.
But we were raised by baby boomers.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, I'm old enough to be a baby boomer. Just at the end, I don't admit it. But yeah, those work ethics were instilled in us from our parents and grandparents, and it's just the way we do things.
Yeah. Sandy, which I believe you called a baptism by dirty water.
That's exactly what we called it.
And I was telling you on the phone before, I think people forget the destruction Sandy caused. Brooklyn and Queens and in the tri-state area.
It was massive. It was beyond massive. It was so destructive. We were working in people's homes after that, and they lost everything. People lost everything.
And I was, I'm 33 now, so I was in college when that happened. Were we expecting the storm to be that bad? So when you woke up that morning, did you think this is going to be a terrible day?
I never do. I'll tell you who did. My wife did. My wife called me and she said, "Hey, Sal, the lady on the news, the way she's talking, I'm really worried about this." And for the first time ever, I literally disconnected the server, took all the corporate books, put them in my car, and took them home with me.
Oh my God. And you would not have done that without your wife?
I would never have done that without my wife, without her saying that to me. So yeah, and we took in 6.5 feet of water in the front door. Oh my gosh. Right? The refrigerator was on top of the counter. It floated up and landed on the counter.
And so did you see that through the cameras, or I guess it would probably be really hard to get there on the day of. When did you, when you were walking through, when you walked through for the first time, maybe can you talk me through that?
It was emotional. It was painful. I know it brought me to tears at one point,
right.
And you're standing here and you're looking and you're going, well, is this it? Is this over?
Right.
Have we reached the end of what we're going to be able to do? And no lie, we're standing there and one of the electrical outlets started to spark and burn. And we all just stopped and looked at it.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Nobody moved. And we all kind of had the same thought. You gonna let it burn? Thank God somebody grabbed the fire extinguisher and put it out.
Is this it?
You gonna let it burn? No, okay, maybe not.
Right, because obviously the damage on the building itself was a huge ordeal, but more so being able to get to customers, as well as you had probably some product. Like, were trucks damaged? I mean, the damage must have been crazy.
So as a plumbing company, we carry I'd say about 7,000 different items in-house. We had just had a shipment of 45 water heaters, 6 boilers. The equipment was on the floor. Everything was there. Everything was destroyed. And we didn't have the insurance for it.
Oh my
Good
gosh.
lesson. You want a lesson? Buy flood insurance. Okay.
Wow. Yeah. And so was there a moment where you and your brother talked to each other, like, how do we keep going?
So, yeah, I mean, it was crazy. Everybody showed up. The team showed up and everybody just started cleaning.
Right.
Cutting walls, pulling insulation down. Just everybody was doing what they could to clean the place up. About 1:00 in the afternoon, we got the team together, stood in front of everybody and said, "Hey, listen, guys, we got a couple of choices here. Either today's the day we go out of business, or we go make some money, and we keep this thing going." And the team stepped up like I'd never seen them step up. I mean, they just put it all out there. That was the end of October, right? It was like Halloween. It was like the day before Halloween. November was the best month we'd ever put on the board.
Wow.
Up until that point. And it changed us in so many ways. Our gratitude was immense. It was beyond thankful. And, so we started trying to do things, adding services to the company, adding better insurances, better days off, better everything, better 401k,
Wow.
anything we could do to try to bolster this team
Yeah.
that literally just stood behind us.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And a funny thing happened. The more we added, the more they gave.
Right.
And we learned something that day.
Right.
We learned, oh, wait. The more we put up, the more they put up, and it went back and forth, and it just became the mode of operation.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, my clients are huge to me. They're important. They're everything. But my people are more important than anything in the world.
Yeah, that is amazing. So it really was. From one, a month before your best month, or maybe a month and a half before your best month, you're thinking, are we going to continue doing this?
Right.
And then on top of that, it sounded like it was a catalyst or maybe a reminder that your technicians are the lifeblood of the business. And the more you invest in them, the more they invest in you. And it's a win-win situation.
Exactly. Technicians, office staff, everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody who works in that place. Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah, it really is.
And it brings me to culture, which clearly I think Sandy ignited how important culture is to you. And just through doing research before this interview, I think I saw you and your brother in a Mario Luigi outfit for probably I would hope a Halloween party, or maybe not, maybe a random day.
Yeah, I think it was just Halloween at the shop that day. Yeah, that's funny. That's online somewhere.
Yeah, we're gonna have to feature that picture with your permission.
Of course.
But talk about, because there's a lot of service-based businesses that will be watching,
Mm-hmm.
and all those businesses, for the most part, rely on their employees, whether
Right.
it be in-house or people that are client-facing. What are your thoughts on how to, I guess, maintain, grow talent?
Talent or culture?
Sorry, culture.
Culture. Culture's an interesting one. Let's do a little story on that. I hired a plumber who owned I think he at one point had like 50 trucks. He was in Queens, and the company pretty much collapsed on him.
Oh, wow.
And he had purchased it from somebody else. And he walked in my office one day, and he sat down and he told me his story. He was in terrible debt. He needed a job. He was a very talented, very intelligent, awesome guy. Still works for me today. And I asked him one question. I said, what was the culture of your company?
Mm-hmm.
And his head turned to the side, and what do you mean? What culture?
Right.
What we've learned over the years is culture doesn't just happen. Culture is built by intent.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't build your own culture, somebody will build it for you.
Right.
Right? An employee, usually the biggest mouth in the place,
Right.
is going to build it for you.
And it could be a cancer to the company.
And it's an absolute cancer, and you have to then you have to either get rid of it and then deal with the consequences, or never let it happen in the first place. Oftentimes, we have people who walk in the door and they are super skilled. I mean, if you know anything about the trade, skill right now is a nightmare.
Right.
Getting skilled people is nearly impossible. And we've got a great name, we pay well, we have great insurances, everything. What happens is we often get these really highly skilled technicians in the door, but we don't hire them because they're not a fit for the company.
Right.
I mean, they can make us money, but for lack of a better term, they're kind of...
Right. Yeah.
And I don't want that in my company, and I
Yeah.
won't hire that guy. I know he's not going to see my clients as important. I know he's not going to worry about taking care of them the way my team and my guys now worry about taking care of my people.
Yeah. For employees, like when you cut out that, I mean, it seems like you need to have one, everybody aligned with the same mission,
Mhm.
and two, even if they're talented, and if they're going to sacrifice culture, that's a no-go. But you talked about how important hiring is and finding people in the trades. Any advice or tips that have worked for you guys, or is it really just the brand you've built that has really helped you?
It has to be very personal to the owner of the company.
Right.
I'm involved. I'm involved in the recruiting, the finding, the initial conversations. When they come in, they get handed off to the management team, who then decides whether or not they want to actually bring them into the company, because I fall in love with everybody.
Right.
so they're like, you need to just do your job,
Right.
get them in the door, and then we'll talk to them. But yeah, for me, it's a very personal thing that has to happen from somebody who really can speak to that person and who we are as a company and why you'd want to come work with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on into like the work, I feel like plumbing needs a better PR team. Like there, like the negative connotations that surround plumbing, in mainstream culture, are absurd, because without plumbers, we would all die of dysentery or, typhoid flu or whatever it
takes about a week.
Right. What do you think is misunderstood about the plumbing industry in general by people like myself?
Well, I think there's the common joke of the butt crack,
right?
Dirty, rough, semi-uneducated, I guess they think. But the truth is, these guys are dealing with physics and mechanics, and they're dealing with some pretty complex problems when they're out there to make sure that they're keeping everybody safe. And that's what people don't understand, is the whole concept, the whole idea of the plumbing side of this industry is protection, is safety. It was developed, the licensing was developed to keep the public safe.
Right.
If you know anything about history, I mean, you're right. People died. They used to have a cholera report in the late 1800s. How many people died of cholera today?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so one of the things that has been interesting too is private equity in plumbing, where I've seen a lot of or read the headlines of private equity companies buying plumbing companies like yourself, where maybe 10 years ago it was more like how your father or your uncle would buy a plumbing company locally.
Right.
Now it seems like there's these companies that are buying up family-owned shops. How do you feel about that, and how do you think that changed the industry?
I don't think it's going to be the best thing for the industry at this point. It's I'm not an anti-business person, but sometimes big business doesn't run quite the same as a small family business would. I just, and they're out there. I mean,
I'm sure you get the calls.
I get a dozen emails a week. Yeah, I mean, they're out there.
Yeah. And then, I think especially in New York, because you have to deal with so much with the licensing and then the red tape, it's probably even harder for some of these companies to come in and be able to adjust. Can you talk about how, from a logistics standpoint, it's hard to operate a plumbing company of your size, but also from the red tape, can you talk about how much you need to know to survive?
Oh my gosh. Just negotiating the building department is a challenge. So we employ somebody just to do that.
Wow.
Just to be able to negotiate what's happening in the building department, what's happening with the changes. And the city's not bad, but it is a bit of a 2-ton gorilla that just doesn't, it just steps on you more times than you want it to. And it's from permitting and I mean, licensing isn't terrible. Although, honestly, licensing now, to get a license in New York City, you've got to do 4 years apprenticeship. That's what I say. Look at me, I'm losing my brain. Cut all of that. You've got to do a 7-year apprenticeship.
Wow.
And it'll cost you about $120,000. And it's a good chance you won't pass the test.
And this is to become a
licensed master plumber.
Okay, so what's the difference between that and a plumber?
So a regular plumber works under the licensed master.
Okay.
So we've got 4 licensed masters in our shop.
Got it.
And the plumbers work under that. We're allowed to have those guys supervised by us.
Got it.
You really only need 1 licensed master to run a shop.
Right. So that's the key. If I wanted to start my own business, I would need to be a master
Yes,
licensed plumber.
you have to be a licensed New York City licensed master plumber.
And 7 years of
7 years in the field,
wow.
and you've got to take a written exam and a practical exam, which is a blessed nightmare.
Oh my god.
It is so hard. It is so hard.
Yeah, like I never knew.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's,
and the cost and the time.
Yeah.
That's wild.
yeah, and if you fail it the first time, you do it again, and it costs it again.
Wow.
You have to do the practical again. Most guys will pass the written. A lot of guys don't pass the practical. You
Yeah.
get 3 shots at it, and then you have to start over from the beginning. And I've seen a lot of guys just not get their license.
And do you know if
just
that's
give
the
up.
same in other states?
New York City is one of the hardest
Okay.
places to get a plumbing license.
Which is probably makes the most. I mean, you're dealing with old buildings. You're dealing with a lot of people in a small space. It's
You're dealing with crazy stuff. I mean,
Right.
I've been 5 stories down in Penn Station. Yeah, there's weird stuff out there.
yeah.
Man.
You must have some crazy plumbing stories. I don't know if there's one that comes to mind that is ridiculous or hilarious, or you found something in a pipe you never thought you would.
Oh gosh, you're catching me off guard. I'm not sure if I have. I don't know if I have. I'm sure I do. We have all. Listen, the whole thing is ridiculous. Sometimes you'll get a customer call you and go, "I am underwater. I'm flooding. This is terrible. Can you get here?"
Right.
You run up there and there's a puddle in the basement. What the hell? And I had a lady call once and she goes, "I think I have a problem. When you get a chance, can you get up here?" We got to the house and the water was pouring out from under the coal chute.
Oh my god!
You know, literally, her basement was full to the first floor.
Yeah, just a small problem.
Yeah, a little problem. You know, just when you get a chance.
Yeah.
I call the fire department. I can't get that. What am I going to do?
Yeah, that is. I mean, the people that you must interact with, and just the different scenarios. Because every building is different.
Mm-hmm.
Every client is different. So it really probably test the patience of the technicians having to deal with these different personalities.
Sure.
And some of the work that's hard to do. It's not like this is an easy job. It's a hard job.
It's a hard job, and it's harder in this city than any place else. It really is. I've hired guys from out of state, and they're like, "How do you guys work here? It's so dirty.
Yeah.
It's so hard. The materials that we use are always the hardest possible materials we can use. We're like the rest of the country, people are running stuff from plastic hoses, basically,
Right.
which is PEX tubing, and we're not allowed to use any of that stuff.
Oh god.
So the learning curve is huge. The work is hard, but mostly the customers they're pretty cool.
Okay.
You know, we meet a lot of really great people,
Yeah.
and I think that's one of the things that attracted me to the industry. You know, is I kind of love serving people. I love meeting people, and I love being the hero. I love walking in and fixing it and going, "I got it. No worries. We got this."
It's interesting because you wanted to be a photographer,
Yes.
and then you, out of really necessity, it sounds like, joined the family business.
Well, I didn't join out of necessity. I worked in the business from 12 on,
Right.
and I was a student at the School of Visual Arts, and I spent 2 years there, and I did my own photography in the field. I did wedding photography, which God help me,
Oh my
was a
gosh.
nightmare. I worked for a few photographers as an assistant, and I just realized that it was. First of all, there wasn't nearly as much money there as it was in plumbing.
Mhm. Right.
And I just enjoyed the mechanics of plumbing again, and the concepts of it, and working with people.
And solving people's problems.
Yeah, I kind of loved it. I fell in love with it.
In my generation, I'm a millennial, I feel like the trades have been overlooked. And maybe they're coming back as people are realizing how lucrative the trades can be. But I think people don't give it enough of a shot, where you might not be necessarily attracted to plumbing on the surface, but you can find angles where it's unbelievably fulfilling and we'll talk a little bit about the community angle that you guys have done, but being able to really serve and help people. I mean, that's your job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. The industry itself has its ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
You know, and every now and then you'll see an article in the newspaper when there's a recession or something's a little rough, and go, "Hey, everybody's looking at the trades," and then the government kind of jumps in and goes, "Hey, we'll put some money behind this." But
Right.
there's still very few trade schools
Yeah.
for children, and for them to learn this. We often hire interns from the high schools and from some other agencies. But if the child is under 18, I can't even let them hold a paintbrush.
Right.
It's the law.
Right.
So how am I going to ever teach this person, to get that love of having the tools in their hands?
Right. Like as
get
they're
them
making
started.
decisions about their life, they can't even really experience what it's like to be in the trades.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that needs to change.
It does, because this is a job nobody will ever take away from you.
Right. I mean, 100 years. You guys have survived 100 years for a reason.
Yeah.
It's everyone, no matter what's happening in the world, people need help with their plumbing.
I mean, one of my greatest joys is when I've trained a guy, and he's moved on, and all of a sudden I get a Christmas card in the mail from Texas from some guy just thanking me for giving him a livelihood.
Oh my gosh.
And we take so many young people in and do that. We just we change their lives. It's amazing. It's life-changing for so many people.
Yeah. And speaking of life-changing, I want to talk about the community angle, the Michael Vigilante Fund.
Okay.
And I know there's a story there that we talked about on the phone that I'd love if you could share with the audience.
I could share. It might be a little bit of a dead end, but we'll talk about it. My brother Michael was one of the biggest hearted people you'll ever want to meet.
Mm-hmm.
He was a plumber just like the rest of us. He also was in the company. But Michael struggled. Michael struggled with depression and some drug abuse. And he struggled for a lot of years. He put up a really good fight. He ended up committing suicide.
Wow.
And the fund was created at that moment. And it really was just people who were giving money. I'm like, what are we going to do with this money? I mean, so we put it in the fund. And the funny thing is anytime we actively need the money, we just go, just take it out of the company and do the work.
Right.
We don't do it. It's in his name. It's there. But, oftentimes we do have moments where people just need us. There was a gentleman, I think his name was Edgar Balance, a few years back, and one of the salesmen walked in, and the guy barely had a roof over his head and was still living in the house. His boiler was broken, his water heater was broken. We just replaced it, just pulled all the stuff out, gave him new equipment, and just, did it.
Right.
Because that's what he needed.
Yeah.
And our guys are always on the lookout. If somebody's in trouble and somebody needs something, just do it.
Yeah.
I mean, take care of people. This is our neighborhood.
Yeah. That is incredible. And I was thinking about the private equity angle before, and how that it's so clear with your guys' story and with Vigilante Plumbing how much you care about the customer and how much it means to you that they have a good experience. And once you bring in big companies, it just gets lost. And it's such an incredible thing for the Brooklyn community to have companies like yourself.
Thank you.
But it's 100 years and really keeping the customer first and doing the right thing. It's easy to say those things. It's hard to
do it.
It's hard to do those things.
It is. It's hard. It really is hard to do it. It's expensive to do it.
Right.
To keep everybody in line, to constantly do it every single day and make sure that everybody's playing nicely. And,
right.
And even being able to watch when something comes up wrong. I know there was one the other day. We did a job, and the install manager went, "Hey, this job's overpriced. You need to take some money off of this. Whatever you think is right, take off. Return it to the customer." And they returned a few $1,000s back to the customer. And
this was sure after the money
job was done. Job was done. They were paid.
Wow.
We wrote a check and sent it back to them because it was too much.
Wow.
It was something that's not right.
Yeah, that is unbelievable, and something I think everyone in the world needs to have a reminder of, that to do the right thing by your fellow human.
It'll come back.
Yeah,
it'll come back. The money will come back. Yeah. It really will. The customers will come back. They'll use you again, and you'll have more opportunity to make money. And listen, money's important,
right?
Because without money, I can't do any of this.
Right.
Without profit, I can't do any of this.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
So it's a balancing act, but of course, you got to take care of the money, take care of the business, take care of the employees, and be able to have the opportunity to make those decisions with the man who you replaced his boiler for
Exactly.
free.
Exactly. Again, it's and it's got to be understood.
Mhm.
I mean, it is from the head down. It's got to be from me and Anthony, and everybody's got to understand. If something's not right, it's not right. It's,
Mhm.
if the supply house sent us, 10 items when they were supposed to send us one, send the other 9 back if they don't know about it.
Right.
Just do it. And I think once they understand that that's the mode of operation and that's who we are,
Mhm.
everybody does it then.
Yeah.
Everybody understands that's the only way to do it.
Right. Leading from the front is part of the culture.
Well, yeah, kind of. We set the example. I
Right.
still don't lead from the front. I lead from the back.
Well,
I'm a servant. I'm a servant leader.
Right.
My job is to make sure that they can get their jobs done
mhm.
every single day. I'll do whatever you need. You tell me, I'll do it.
Oh, right. Okay, interesting. So you're really there. I'm here for your support,
That's it.
and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I have my jobs. I have my things that I have to do,
Right.
but my primary job is to make sure you can get your job done. I'm here for you. That's it.
Wow. So before we move on to the 5-question punch-out round, I do want to talk about, since next year is 100 years, and you have 2 daughters.
I have 2 daughters. Yes.
Anthony has a daughter and a son.
Yes.
How do you guys think about the next generation, or is it?
The next generation's doing what the next generation wants to do. They've moved on to their own things.
Right.
I'm proud of them.
Mhm.
They're doing wonderfully, all of them. But they're not in the plumbing industry.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't know.
It's a big question, I guess, to think about.
It is.
Because 100 years is a long time, and of course, you want to keep the tradition and the business, the name alive and what it stands for. But as a parent, you want your kids to be happy.
Yeah, I want them to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
And they listen. We were bred for this. I hate to say it. It was always. I guess it was always going to be this.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
There were questions about the future and what happens, but
we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, are you ready for the 5-question punch-out round?
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Let's do this. Do I have to answer them fast too?
No. You can take your time. Is there another family business in Brooklyn that you admire?
That I admire.
Or maybe you looked up to as you guys were running your own business?
Oh. Not in Brooklyn.
Or it can be outside of Brooklyn.
So outside of Brooklyn, yeah. Blau Plumbing and Heating in Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
I'm in Wisconsin. Frank Blau was the gentleman who started the Nexstar organization that I told you we joined
right
in 1994. And in truth, changed our lives, changed our company, gave us real solid business footing.
Right.
And he ran a company that was amazing. He was doing what we're doing now in the 60s.
Wow.
And he's now just celebrated his 97th birthday.
No way.
So yeah, happy birthday, Frank, if you're listening.
And so he established the training for you guys to really grow and
he established the organization. Yeah.
Right.
He kind of set the standard. He connected with another company in California, which connected with another company in New Jersey and all over the place. And these people really, they helped grow us.
Right. Wow.
One of my best friends in the world, Dan Weltman from Weltman Home Services in New Jersey. I couldn't say enough about this man, about how he helped inspire me to run my company.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
How do you decompress from work?
How do I decompress from work? I make wine.
Oh, no way.
Yes. I planted a tiny little vineyard upstate New York. I grow Marquette grapes and I make pretty decent wine if I do say so myself.
Wow.
How else? I don't know. You know what? Work
snow?
is life. Yeah. Lately, it's been shoveling snow. That's what I've been doing. I make wine. I do some gardening. I grow vegetables.
It's incredible.
Yeah. I've got literally. I live on Staten Island. I've got 9 vines in my backyard. I got 10 pounds of raspberries, 5 pounds of blueberries.
Wow.
And these are the things I kind of love, and I'm always fixing stuff. I mean,
Right.
You know,
See, working with your hands.
I work with my hands. I'm
Yeah.
always. There's always a wall that has to come down and go back up somewhere.
What time does the alarm go off?
4:30.
Wow. 4:30. Has that been the case for a long time?
Yeah, pretty much. 4:30, 5 o'clock. 4:30. Yeah, 4:30, and then the gym.
Wow. Anyone or anything, it could be a book or person that's kind of influenced the way you run business. I know you talked about some of the people before, but is there any other?
Michael Gerber's
The E-Myth?
The E-Myth
Yeah.
has been a huge inspiration for how we run the business. And The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz has been a huge influence on me personally.
Okay, I don't know the second one. I'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah.
And then finally, last question: how can people work with you?
How can people work with me?
Yeah.
How
can they get in touch with you?
That's easy. That's bestbrooklynplumber.com, vigilante.com.
Run down a red Sprinter van.
Yeah, just wave the van down and say hello.
Well, Sal, I really appreciate you coming on the show. When I started this, I really wanted to focus on service-based businesses that were overlooked. And when I think of plumbing and I think of what you guys have built, I think it's one industry that is overlooked. And I think also, I don't think people realize how hard it is to run a business for 100 years. So thank you for coming on the show, and I wish you nothing but success in the future. And I'm excited for the 100-year next year.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks.